Yep, I'm really sorry about the shirt, but it's so goddamn hot in here. I'm sorry. In any case, let's talk Tarantino. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the 9th film to be written and directed by Mr. Quentin Tarantino. And if you've been following this channel, you know that I'm a hardcore fan of that guy, because back in 2015, I believe, back when I started this channel, I reviewed every single one of his films leading up to The Hateful Eight. The gist of it, I love most of his movies. I like every single one of them, and 2 of them are among my all-time favorite movies. Inglourious Basterds being one of them, Pulp Fiction the other one. So naturally, I was looking forward to this one, because every single time Tarantino releases a new film, you know that this shit's gonna be a party. So I was really looking forward to this one. It was one of my most anticipated films of the year, and I finally got to see it. But before I tell you whether or not I liked it, let's talk a little bit about the plot. The film takes place in the 60s, in the golden age of Hollywood, and focuses on an actor called Rick Dalton, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who's on the brink of giving up because his career is really starting to collapse, and his stuntman, played by Brad Pitt. And while the film really focuses on their everyday life issues, we also learn a little bit about Sharon Tate and the Manson family. And now we have a very weird Tarantino film. First of all, I gotta tell you, I really dug this film. I mean, the movie looks beautiful. The way Tarantino recreated the Hollywood of the 60s is amazing. The attention to detail in this movie is insane. Everything looks great. Everything looks gorgeous. The cinematography of this film, once again, is out of this world. No one does it quite like Tarantino. The dialogue, once again, is sharp, even though it's not as sharp as some of his other flicks. And now let's get to the meat of the film, because this movie doesn't actually have a coherent plot like most of his other films. I mean, if you look back at films like Inglourious Basterds, it had a very simple plot. The bastards tried to kill Hitler. Kill Bill. Uma Thurman tried to kill Bill. Django Unchained. Django was trying to save his wife from Leonardo DiCaprio. The Hateful Eight, Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell were trying to expose the culprit. This time around, it's more of a Big Lebowski scenario. Just a bunch of stuff happens, and we basically just witness how Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio react to those circumstances. So it's not really a plot-driven movie, it's a character piece, and it's a hangout film. In my personal opinion, this might just be Tarantino's funniest film, because it is a straight-up comedy. It's not necessarily the Big Lebowski, it's not the same film, but when it comes to the story, the absurdity of it all, yeah, that's pretty much it. But it also absolutely captures the feeling, the tone, and the nostalgia of the 60s. This is Tarantino's love letter to the 60s. And now let's talk about our 2 main characters. First of all, Rick Dalton, played by the great Leonardo DiCaprio. He is once again phenomenal in this film, and it's so interesting to see such a superstar in a phase where he completely doubts himself. And Leonardo DiCaprio obviously had a blast with this film. There are a few lines and a few sequences. One of them is even in the trailer where he's talking to himself in his very own trailer. It's hilarious. He also happens to have amazing chemistry with Brad Pitt's character, Cliff Booth. And right out the gate, let me tell you, this is Brad Pitt's film, because Cliff Booth is hands down the standout character, the scene stealer. He's basically Lebowski if he was a badass. He's a slub. The way he carries himself isn't really something you should do. But at the same time, he's just such a positive dude, such a relaxed dude, and he has some amazing sequences with a dog, and that dog gives some of the best dog performances I have ever seen on any screen. And obviously this film has a lot of movie references, a lot of television references that I just loved. And right out the gate, best one is Bruce Lee. He was in the trailer, and the way their version of Bruce Lee comes to play made me laugh. Loved it. And now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sharon Tate is in this film, played by Margot Robbie. And She isn't really a fleshed out character, but I understood why they did it because, as we all know, she was brutally, horrifically murdered by the Manson family in real life. So they tried to portray her as just this bright, positive energy of a person, and I think they did her justice because every single time I heard people talk about her and the way she really was, it's basically how Margot Robbie portrays her. She doesn't have a lot of lines, but she is used for the backdrop of the film. Same goes for the Manson family. The first act of the film is hilarious, funny, great. It's everything I love about Tarantino. The second act is actually the one where the story drags a little bit. There were at least 25 minutes that could have been cut from the film, and then it really picks up. The third act is just phenomenal. It's everything I love about Tarantino. The ending of the film, I was like, oh, some people are gonna be pissed, but you know what? I love it. This is what I love about Tarantino. He's so goddamn unapologetic about his films and about his scripts and about the way he tells his story. I love the fact that he doesn't back down. He will offend you, and that's a good thing, because now let me get into a little rant. A lot of people are once again offended because it's 2019 and everyone is constantly offended. I just like to tell you guys that you should grow up, because it's a movie, it's a piece of art, and it shouldn't pander to your own vision. It's his vision. Let him do his movie. And if you are so offended, if you're such a crybaby that you can't handle a fictional story, because let me get this straight, this movie is 100% fictional. Same goes for Inglourious Basterds. Same goes for Django Unchained. Same goes for The Hateful Eight. Quentin Tarantino loves to do fictional stories with a real historical backdrop, just in order to tell his story, his vision, to get it out. And yeah, every single time I hear people talking about boycotting him, talking about how his film should be banned, I'm just like, I'm sorry, you're snowflakes, you're kind of fascist because you just want to censor art, and you're just annoying as shit. Seriously. If you don't like his movies, fine. If you're offended, fine. But if you go that one step beyond, this is where I'm gonna have a problem with you. But all in all, I love this film. I didn't really know what to expect from this film, but this film gave me a very unique feeling. I don't know about most of the reviews because I haven't seen a lot, but I feel that this movie is not gonna get the typical great and raving reviews that Tarantino is known for. However, this is a future cult classic already. I can already tell that while this movie might not get the usual great reviews that films like Kill Bill, Django Unchained, and Inglourious Basterds got, this will probably end up being a great hangout cult classic for generations to come, because it is already amazing, amazingly acted, amazingly written, amazingly framed, amazingly shot, and I just gotta tell you, I'm so glad that movies like this exist, because if I look at the year of 2019 and the blockbuster summer, I'm so utterly disappointed. We've had Avengers Endgame, and that's about it. Everything else was mediocre or bad. So I'm so glad that we have a visionary out there who's just like, fuck all of you. And even if you're offended, this is my vision, this is my project, I'm doing it the way it's supposed to be, the way I want to tell the story. And I gotta tell you that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood gets a silver medal. It's a fucking great film, but it does drag a little bit in the second act. I got bored a little bit throughout Act 2, but it doesn't take away from the greatness that was the final act and that was the intro of the film. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, have you seen it? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.